Welcome to Windows of Tomorrow by IndoSpace. I'm your host Manisha Natarajan. This is an exciting new series on thought leadership and knowledge exchange on industrial parks and logistics. We promise to make it a buzzing hub of deep insights, future trends shaping the sector, and also infrastructure that is making some regions quite hot for this business. Today, I'm kickstarting this series with two dynamic leaders, Nikhil Agarwal and Shyam Kalyan.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
For all of you, let me also give you a little bit of an introduction to both my guests. Nikhil leads one of India's top logistics companies, which is CJ Darcl, and with his innovative approach, he wants to make it India's #1 logistics company. Nikhil, you have a date in mind?
We are targeting 2027, just a bit more ambitious in mind, but yes.
I can feel and sense the ambition. Shyam Kalyan is Executive Director Revenue IndoSpace, which is one of India's largest industrial park and warehousing developer. Shyam, thank you very much for joining me. I believe you've got experience across different geographies, not just India.
Yes. I worked about 10 years in the US and then a year in Singapore, and then last 15, 16 years I've been working in India.
Okay, let me start with the news, right? CJ Darcl has just leased out 1.25 lakh square feet at IndoSpace Industrial Warehousing Park in Narsapura, which is in Karnataka.
That's right.
I thought you were a logistics company. What are you doing with warehousing space? Are you branching into that?
So we already started getting into warehousing in 2017. So that's Narsapura is just another one that we've recently taken it from IndoSpace. They've had a fantastic infrastructure that they've created there, right? And I think we started getting into warehousing operations post 2017 when GST came into India. And that's when we felt that the entire warehousing infrastructure in India is going to change. And I think IndoSpace has been doing some fantastic work. And we are happy to bring in our expertise in operating such fine warehouses in a much more efficient manner.
They could have gone anywhere, right? There are choices and opportunities for them to lease out warehousing space in different geographies. So give me a sense of what distinguishes the IndoSpace Industrial Park at Narsapura.
If you look at the client's requirement, in this case CJ Darcl, they had a requirement of 1.25 lakh square feet. That's an immediate requirement. So can IndoSpace meet the requirement? Yes. So we had space of 1.25 lakhs. So that meets their immediate requirement. Number two, what they do is when they came for the site visits, obviously when they see the infrastructure of what IndoSpace has developed in terms of right from the planning to the execution, the finishing, it's a marked difference from what they see with our other competitors. So number two. So then they see, okay, we have somebody whom we should really consider, keeping in mind our global presence, our expansions. Number three, when we get into the discussions, deeper discussions, then they get to know the kind of practices that we have in terms of compliances, which is a huge thing for us, in terms of ESG practices, our pan-India presence, and then they really see that here is somebody that we can have as not just a one-time developer to take a space in one location, but a partner for us to grow across pan-India. And that's where the difference comes, especially for large players like CJ Darcl who are looking at a pan-India presence and have such a aggressive growth. Once they choose us as a partner, then it just becomes a lot easier for them to expand across India.
As a logistics player, why would you choose Narsapura, Karnataka?
Narsapura happens to be at the right place wherein, it brings in the right sort of economics for it to work around, right? Also, I think it's closer proximity to Chennai Expressway and then, your Mumbai-Bangalore Expressway makes it a more ideal location to be around. And then you can obviously catch on to the urban Bangalore as, which is very close to Narsapura.
So Shyam, give me your sense of why Narsapura is so important and why did you choose to build such a large industrial park?
Narsapura is actually one of the older industrial areas developed by the Karnataka government. So the space that we have taken is part of the industrial development area of Karnataka government.
Okay.
So, and it houses the Honda two-wheelers factory, it's got Tata Electronics inside, it's got Mahindra Aerospace, and it's got other large manufacturing facilities inside. I gave you 3 large brands, and we come into that space to meet that requirement of plug and play infrastructure, because the government only allots the land for certain companies who want to build their own facility. But for companies like, say, CJ or any other manufacturing companies who are looking for plug and play infrastructure, we become the automatic choice in that particular location. And as Nikhil was talking about the connectivity, we have the STRR, or the Satellite Town Ring Road, that's connecting Mumbai, Pune, that cuts halfway through the Narsapura town, and also the Bangalore-Chennai Expressway, which also cuts from there. So the access to Chennai, connectivity to Chennai, as well as the connectivity from Mumbai, Pune and Hosur, makes that location more attractive location. And obviously with also government also promoting their area, it's a hot spot for industrial stroke logistics companies to look at.
So beyond Narsapura or within Narsapura, do you expand your plug and play?
We are looking at.
You will expand within
Yeah,
Narsapura, and outside, how are you looking at expanding IndoSpace's footprint?
Closer to Narsapura, we are going to be expanding maybe another 1 million square feet, hopefully, in the next coming years. So, and outside of across India, if you talk about where we are looking at, largely the Delhi NCR region, Pune, we are looking at Chennai, of course, Bangalore, something in Hyderabad, hopefully. We are looking at East, Calcutta.
Are you going to leave out any geography or any city?
So largely the 7-8 Gujarat, the 7-8 large tier 1 markets is what we are looking at. Right now, our focus is right now on the tier 1 markets, and so that's what the fund is. The fund is clearly mandated for tier 1 markets, the 7-8 large cities.
Nikhil, give me a sense of how the logistics business is shaping up, considering there is so much push on manufacturing. I mean, these are good days for your business, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There's so much excitement in India, whether it's Gati-Shakti infrastructure or it's manufacturing. It just adds layers and potential to your business. What are you most excited about?
I think a lot of growth, and we are seeing a lot of multinational companies coming into India and establishing their shops here, right? But I think the interesting bit, I would say, is definitely alternate fuels that's been coming in. How the LNG or hydrogen in times to come, or electric vehicles, how all of this is going to pan out. And then I think also the more interesting bit is the entire government's outlook towards reducing the logistics cost, making it as per the global standards that you see. And let me tell you, I think the MORTH, which is the ministry, I think they've been working towards the highways that we see. You travel anywhere global and then you come back to India, you can now say that we also have those sort of highways in India, right? And a lot of that work is going in to have a safe sort of accident-free driving, and a lot of these things. So I think a lot of good stuff happening, and a lot of ports development that's been happening, a lot of warehousing developments that's been happening, and I think it pushes logistics and companies such as ours to kind of merge along with them and become a part of the larger story.
Give me a sense of how different are the costs still per kilometer of shipment of goods and services in India vis-a-vis, let's say, one of the best players, and what is the gap we need to close?
I think multiple studies have been referring it to around that India's logistics cost is around 13-14% as compared to the global standards of, or developed economies having 6-7%. So there's a 7-8% sort of a gap that we are talking about, right? And I think infrastructure has a large.
But that's a big thing. We need to bring it down, despite the fact that, and there is absolute credit to the Ministry of Road Transport. They've done a phenomenal job. I don't think we have seen faster, layout of infrastructure, road infrastructure in the country, and even ships, ports, all of that. Infrastructure has been the big story of India. What are you doing on ESG? Because again, both the businesses, whether you build a warehouse or whether you run a logistics business, these are high carbon footprint businesses. So give me some insights into, does ESG matter? How deeply does it matter to you? And what are you doing about it?
It kind of really matters to us, not because there is any mandate onto us, but I think we just feel, and especially you also come from Delhi, so you would understand the pollution, and so I think it's more to do because of that we feel that everybody has their own responsibilities, and from that perspective, I think how to make our organization more environmental friendly. And obviously, even we have certain bit of clients who are a little forward looking, have already started working on it. So we kind of become a thought leader there on the logistics side, and so it's good to have that sort of a knowledge and domain expertise, right? So one, obviously there are a lot of work that we are doing internally in terms of, such as our warehouses, whatever that we have, are being put in with solar rooftop panels. These are the basic things that we've been doing, and entire policy around the cars and the bikes that we have, how we can electrify them and move in that direction. And then obviously the larger pie is the trucking, and how that way, because that, I think the ecosystem is still not ready, so we are there and trying to figure out a solution which works in well. There are certain applications where it can be adopted faster. And fourth bit, I think the biggest one is the rail for us. So we've been consciously converting a lot of road business, merging it up with rail, because that we believe today is the easiest, most eco-friendly carbon solution that we have in India.
Give me a sense of both the tech and the ESG parameters that you're following.
ESG bit, what we do is we have a separate team that's committed towards ESG. Otherwise, typically, okay, we also do this. It's not like that, because we are measured on that, number one. Number two is, I think we were one of the companies that actually set the standards for the IGBC for industrial, which is the Indian Green Building Council.
Yeah.
So almost all of our parks are IGBC Platinum, which means it's a bunch of parameters that they check, right from land acquisition, the type of land that you bought, whether it's dry land, all the way to the kind of materials that you have used, the kind of developments that you have done, and what is the thing that you're doing towards the community around it, the kind of employment.
The
of
S
course,
part, which we don't talk about
exactly.
much, the
So
social part
social
of it.
part. So what you're doing in terms of involving the community around, whether it's in terms of education or employment. How are you making it as inclusive as possible? That's one piece that's part of the overall your rating systems. And of course, in terms of the infrastructure that we do, your rainwater harvesting, your solar, we have a separate business that focuses largely on solar. So we do.
You can actually have renewable in your, can you meet your entire warehousing needs through renewables or no?
Possible in certain places, it's not possible in certain places, but we have a separate solar fund where we invest everything, the entire solar panels and everything with zero cost to the end client, and we only pass on the solar benefits to the client.
Oh.
So, and it's very client specific. So what we do is we take the requirements from the client, and then we work out what is the power that is required, and we do the entire solarification for the entire client. Each state has got its own solar policy, so depending on the state is what we can do.
Of
so
course.
if there is something that's consistent across India, it would make it a lot easier, but each state has got its own, because they manage their own energy, right? So in certain states it's stringent, certain states it's more flexible. So depending on the states, we do it. So that's largely what we do in terms of solar.
So I got the E, I got the S, and governance you mentioned right at the top.
There is almost.
There's absolutely zero wiggle room there. So we've covered ESG.
Yeah, it's on
All
top
right.
of the list.
Anything you'd like to discuss or tell us about the tech aspects of the industrial parks and warehousing? How much of tech is involved? Let me ask a very basic question.
Right from, it is of course, right from the gate management system, largely in operations, right from gate management systems to smart metering, smart sensoring. I think they do use a little bit of whatever tech they use for construction. So largely comes in management of the park. We have tools, all online tools for all our clients to communicate, to bring in their request, and then we have that to analyze, to understand what has been the customer feedback across parks. Is there some similarity between a particular location or between certain parks? certain type of clients. So we do all that analysis also. There's a lot of analysis that goes once you're able to get the data from clients. So that's how we do our tech piece.
Everyone's excited about the India story right now, and rightly so. I think it is India's moment under the sun.
Right.
All our businesses are going to grow. Having said that, as we march towards that 2027, somebody says 2030, we'll be the third largest. Let's dovetail it with your ambition of being the largest by 2027, right?
Right.
What are some of the changes that you would like to see which can help the sector and the industry?
The only one that I would say is, I think, having different regulations, and I think Sham also said that, right? Different states having different policies, different regulations, and working your way around it, right? As a logistics company, you have to work across India, and you come across with multiple governments, and there is obviously
Federal structure, kya kare?
Absolutely. I
That's
think
the beauty of the democracy.
Right,
But hopefully we'll
right.
have some like-mindedness. But go ahead.
that's I think that's one pain area that I see, right? And you have certain sectors which are growing, and likely so, the ministries which are doing good, or the state ministries which are doing good, you see a lot of growth happening there. While there are some which are not doing so well, right? So you happen to face challenges there, and it slows down the process, and then you can't meet your ambitions and targets, right, of growing, and then you end up wasting so much of time into such figuring out your way, that you lose the charm of that growth and everything. So I think that's the only bit that I see as a big bottleneck that's there.
Let me get to a little bit of personal grilling as well. Are you both ready? Okay.
Depends on the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Depends on the question. Okay, I promise I won't make them very tough. So Shyam, you said before, while we were sipping our coffee, that you're on the road, 5 or 6 days in a week?
4. That's
4?
That's more
Okay.
than
That's more than enough, and then you
sufficient,
return
yeah.
to Chennai.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do in your downtime? How do you unwind?
Yoga, classic Carnatic music, tennis, swimming.
Swimming, tennis, and yoga. I'm impressed.
Yeah, yoga I can do it wherever I am. I just need a mat, so I do that.
That's the beauty, isn't it?
yeah.
What about you, Nikhil? How do you unwind? How much
So-
you travel, first of all? Do you also travel as much as Shyam?
No, not as as much as Sham, but
Not 4 days in a
no,
week.
not 4 days
Okay.
a week, but probably I think it'll be 7-8 days in a month, right? But yeah, I think when I'm at home, I think it's mostly golf that I love to play. That's my go-to, right? Finding off or taking off from the work, and right. And other than that, I think it's fitness, which is gym, something, then some bit of OTTs.
I would have guessed that anyway.
Right. So that's most of it, and then some bit of family time and leisure time.
All right. I'm going to wrap out there. Wonderful having both of you on the first conversation and the first episode of Windows of Tomorrow. I've learned a lot today, and I hope everyone who's tuned in has as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Nikhil.